All right, welcome back. This is going to be our fourth episode of the podcast, and I don't really feel like I have an update or something random to share, and that's okay because this episode's going to be kind of jam-packed, and I am, as always, trying to keep these episodes short and easy to listen to. But today I am tackling one of the most common questions that I get from people that are considering working with me. And that is, how do I know when it is the right time to make this investment and sign up to work with you? And I wanted to go through a series of questions that I ask a lot of my potential clients to help them make this decision, because it's not a decision that I can make for you. You really have to know if it's the right next step for you and if you're ready or not. So, the first thing that I need to explain, because some of you may or may not know what I do with clients, I have a one-on-one program where I do functional testing with women. I do a HTMA test and a Dutch test. HTMA testing is hair tissue mineral analysis. It is taking a very small sample of your hair closest to the scalp, sending it off to the lab, and what we're testing with that are your mineral levels and for the presence of heavy metals that are currently being detoxed. It is very, very insightful. There are like over 38 data points that we get from that test, and it's really incredible because it's very actionable. The Dutch test is a dried urine comprehensive hormone panel. It is like the most comprehensive hormone panel that you can get. They are testing all of the female sex hormones. So we get estrogens, progesterones, testosterones, DHEA, all these things. And then you also get cortisol tested as well. And it's very informative. It kind of tells us, it doesn't kind of tell us, it does tell us how your body is processing and detoxing your estrogen, which can give us insight into like why you're having certain period or PMS symptoms. It gives us so much information. And what I have found over my time working with clients is that when we combine these two tests, we get excellent information that is actionable information that we can then, I create a care plan for my clients with lifestyle, diet, and supplement education and recommendations that they can then take and implement. And we work together for several weeks, checking in with one another. How are things going? I look at like, do we need to tweak anything? Are you seeing improvements? And it's really great. My clients get incredible results. Some of the most common things that they report back to me pretty quickly is more energy, better digestion, and then better periods and less PMS symptoms. And sometimes that takes a couple of months because, if you think about it and you know much about like the life cycle of your eggs, they start developing about 90 days prior. 90 to 100 days prior to when they're going to be the egg that comes through in that period. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer to see big leaps and bounds with period symptoms and PMS symptoms. But I've had other clients that very first next cycle have been like, this is incredible. I have, for the very first time in my life, not had any cramps with this period, and I can't believe it. So that's what's included. I'm going to go through the questions that I ask people, and I'm kind of going to explain why these things are important. So the very first question that I like to ask is, are you willing to change your diet? And that's a question that freaks a lot of people out because that sounds kind of scary. It sounds like I'm going to be telling them, you've got to cut out dairy, you've got to give up gluten, you got to cut this out, got to cut that out. And I do not take that approach. When I say, are you willing to change your diet? I mean, are you willing to change it at all? Like, are you willing to learn from me how to eat in a way that supports your blood sugar balance? Are you willing to learn from me how to ensure you're getting enough calories in a day and enough carbs at a meal and enough fiber throughout the day and why that's important. I am typically recommending very small tweaks in someone's diet, but they're pretty important. And if someone is like, no, I love the exact way that I eat right now, I'm very rigid with it, and I am not going to change. Well, our nutrition is the foundation for everything else. So if you aren't willing to change your nutrition at all, then you're going to spend money on this testing and then spin your wheels trying to fix everything with supplements, because as incredible as supplements are, and I do think that they are very much needed to help fill in the gaps, a food first approach or a food prioritized approach is very necessary and very important for long-term sustainable success. So if you say hard no, then I would stop there and say no, working with me is not the best option for you right now. But if you're like, yeah, I'm open to learning more about nutrition and dietary habits, and I would like to make some changes, especially if it would help me feel better, then the next question you need to ask yourself is, are you willing to invest in and take supplements? I've had some clients come to work with me that were like, I can't or don't want to swallow pills. And there are certain ways that we can work around that. Some things are limited. But then I've had other people come to me that have said, I don't have it in my budget right now to buy supplements, or I don't trust supplements and I don't want to take them. And this is not a question that it's like a hard no if you say no, but there's a follow-up question there that you would have to ask. And that is, are you willing for this to take longer? Because like I previously said, the supplements help us fill in the gaps and kind of help us speed things along, because you can only consume so much food in a day. And when we're trying to really replenish your potassium, for example, it's just hard to get everything you need in to replenish potassium plus all of your other minerals. And that's where supplements come in handy. So I'm not saying that it won't work. It just might take you a little bit longer to really like feel the positive results than if you're someone that is willing to invest in supplements and take them. And for people that are concerned about budget, it's always great for me to know that up front. I am very budget friendly anyway, so I always look for the most budget friendly option. But it does help me to know that up front, and I can kind of like prioritize some things over others, because there are certain nutrients that it's easier to get from food, and there's others where we truly need a supplement. So, if yes, or if yes, you're willing for it to take longer, then the next question that you need to ask yourself is, are you willing to do nervous system work? I have not worked with a client yet that did not need to do some nervous system work. And like, what the heck do I even mean by that? It's stress management, is really what it boils down to. And it's not eliminating stress, because that's not always possible. Like, if there's stressors we can eliminate, then that's great. But having kids is stressful. Well, what are we supposed to do with them? Like, you can't not take care of them. Work is a big stressor for a lot of people, but we've got to have jobs and we've got to have money. Are there things that we can implement and do to kind of help change that situation? Yeah. But, I get really aggravated when people are giving guidance and giving advice and they're like, well, you just need to reduce your stress. You just need to get rid of some of your stressors. Well, it's not always that easy. What you really need is tactical habits and techniques and approaches to managing the stress, because what we can control about stress is how you react to stressors within reason. Maybe not always, but within reason, that is what we can control. So that is what we focus on. And some of this mindset and nervous system work makes people really uncomfortable. And it is uncomfortable. If it's not uncomfortable for you, then you're not doing it right. Or you've been doing it for a long time. Because it's things like examining your thoughts. Why do I think this way? What in my history has led me to believe this thing about myself? It's journaling, it's meditation, it's breath work, it's grounding, it's learning to cycle sync your life, living in like the phases in sync with the phases of the moon. And some people think that a lot of that stuff is really woo-woo and it's just like not even worth diving into. And I have clients sometimes that are really resistant to try things. And then they come back to me in a few weeks or a few months and they're like, well, I finally implemented that. And you were right, it really helped. And it takes time because what works for me to help manage my stress and relieve my stress is not the same thing that's going to work for you. So that's why I try to, in my program, include lots of different options and different suggestions. And it's one of the things that when I'm doing weekly check-ins with my clients, we can talk about like, well, have you tried this? If that didn't work for you or that didn't seem to help you, then why don't you try this week? So yeah, are you willing to do nervous system work? If not, and it's just like a hard no, and you're like, I'm never going to do any of those things, then testing probably is not worth your investment because stress is really at the foundation of a lot of our dysregulation and our imbalances and our depletions. And if we don't get a handle on that, then we're not going to make much progress. You're not going to feel much better. And it's not worth investing in the testing if you're not going to take action. And then the last question that I have people ask themselves is, are you willing to be patient as we work to replenish your body? Patience is key because this is not an overnight, snap your fingers, wave a magic wand, I'm going to feel 100% better tomorrow type of ordeal. It's just not. I wish that it was. I wish it was that easy. But when we are really, truly addressing and getting to the root cause of your symptoms, it takes time sometimes to fully track that down and figure it out completely. And then it takes time to overcome that. People forget sometimes that it took you months or years to get to this point. And then we just expect that within a couple days or a week, we're going to feel so much better. And that's not to say that I don't have clients that come to me in a week or 2 weeks time and are rattling off all of these wins. And they're like, I feel so much better. I'm sleeping so much better. My energy is so much better. That absolutely happens. But the long-term goals that a lot of people have for things like weight loss. If I'm working with someone that has very irregular periods, or maybe their period went missing because they're post-birth control and they haven't had normal cycles, if they're struggling with infertility, like some of those bigger issues do take more time. And again, you just have to be willing to be patient and be committed. This is not the type of work where it's like, I'm going to try that for a month, and if it doesn't work, I'm just going to throw it to the side and forget about it. This is the type of work that you have to like dig deep and really decide that I am committed to figuring this out. And I am committed to implementing these things consistently over time. And that doesn't mean that you have to be perfect, but that you're taking steps every day to keep working at it and keep chipping away at it. And going into it that your end result goal might be months or a year down the road. And so if you can go through those questions and you're like, yes, 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 then yeah, it would be a good idea to get testing. And sometimes people come to me and they're like, well, how do I know if I'm bad enough to get testing? And I think that it's funny that people ask me that question because I'm like, you're clearly struggling pretty significantly, or we wouldn't be having this conversation anyway. So you kind of have to decide for yourself, like, do I want to continue living this way and having these symptoms that are disrupting my life or leaving me feeling a way that I don't enjoy or having me react in ways with my kids and my husband and my family that I don't love and I'm not proud of? You have to decide that for yourself. Um, I always look at this testing and all of the information that we learn. And with every client, I look at it and I'm just like amazed. I'm like, we have just learned so much about your body and what your body needs. And now we can take a very customized approach with your care plan. And that helps speed up the timeline to get you feeling better faster. I'm very much from the belief that like more information can never really be a bad thing. And that's not to say that you can't make progress without this testing. Um, I want to be very clear about that because you can do a lot of things. There are a lot of foundational things that you can do that will get you pretty far and help you feel, for some people, significantly better than you do right now. Which is why there is something coming for Black Friday that I'm really excited about. It's something I've offered in the past that's kind of been like on hold for a while. I revamped it, added some things to it. And anyway, it's coming for Black Friday. It doesn't include any testing, but it's going to be good. And it's for those of you that feel like you're struggling, but you're like, I just can't make that leap and can't make that investment into testing yet because it is an investment. These tests are expensive. And no, I don't accept any insurance coverage. I do take like HSA, FSA accounts for some people. It depends on your unique account. I'm not going to get into all that right now, but it's mainly an out-of-pocket expense. And of course, like I offer payment plans and things to help with that. But anyway, there is that coming for those of you that are not ready to jump into testing, even if you're like, I would love to do testing and I just can't right now. I get that. So there is something coming for you. So stay tuned. All right. So for our mindset minute today, I thought that this prompt went right along with trying to make the decision for yourself. Is it the right time to invest in testing and working with a coach one-on-one? And this kind of thought prompt, question, journal prompt, however you want to utilize it in your day-to-day, says, I want you to think about the person that you want to be a year from now. I want you to think about how that version of yourself, how does she show up in her day-to-day life? What decisions does she make? What food choices does she make? What are her daily habits? What does her morning routine look like? What does her nighttime routine look like? And I want you to reflect on that and fake it till you make it. Start implementing some of those things. Start being that version of yourself today, and you'll be surprised how quickly you make so much progress towards becoming that 1 year in the future version of yourself.